In preparation for the box glue up, we need to go through and do a couple of last things. The very first thing we need to do is we need to remove any glue that may have come through on this inside edge here. Now to do that, the simplest way is I find lots of people try different things. They use files, they use sandpaper. Sometimes they just hack at it. I've seen a kid try and use a ruler once. I don't know why the ruler, but the best and easiest method I've ever found is to use a sharp chisel. Now I've got a 12mm chisel here, and for me, if I was to do this, I'd come down here, and you just want to come to where that glue is, and then just break it out very softly. Now sometimes you may need to apply a little bit of pressure, and don't ever hit a chisel like this, because you can damage nerve endings that come through here, and it causes a lot of hassle. So always use a mallet, or if in this case, if you're just needing light taps, you can use that sanding block that you're going to need for the next step, and then you can break that out. Once again, you could use this, keeping your hand well away from the blade, and then you can break that out. So take your time, be cautious, and don't gouge into your timber, because you can definitely damage it and really make the inside corners, which are visible, you can make them very ugly by going too hard. If you are concerned about this, please do come and see me, and we'll make progress together, ensuring that you're growing as we go. Now, the next thing that needs to come up, or come off I should say, is we have to remove all pencil marks. Now the very first pencil mark you're going to want to remove is this little line coming up here. Why? Because most people forget it, because it's the least pronounced pencil mark. For that, I'm going to get some 120 grit sandpaper and a sanding block. I'm just going to run this a couple of times. Now, you'll see I'm going with the grain. That's very intentional, because it's going to damage less, and it's going to, let's say you go wrong way and go like there, like you slip and go too far on the edge, it's not going to show on the grain as much. The same happens when we're wanting to remove some of your text here, is come through and you can first erase, and if the eraser won't get the marks out because you've drawn too hard, what you're going to do then is you're going to grab some 120 grit sandpaper and the sanding block, and you're just going to, depending on how deep they are, you can back and forward, you can go like this. What you can't do is go side to side, because when you go side to side, you're going against or across the grain, I should say. And when you do that, you leave little indents going this way, which are much more visible than any indents going this way. You're going to do this back and forward until you're happy with it. Now I know some of you guys will be a bit concerned about what it feels like, and it's not as smooth as some of the other pieces. Well, that's all right, because that's when we can move to our 220 or 240 grit paper and soften that down. You could even use 180. Although it's probably less common in this workshop. And you can do the same thing. Once again, just trying to be very intentional about removing that. What you don't want to do is damage this edge along here. You don't want to round that over or anything, because once again, it will be visible. Now, if you just remove some material with a chisel and then you've just sanded, you're probably going to have a little bit of differentiation in color coming across here. So you can use your 120 or 220 or 240 to come through. You can bend this paper over and just work your way into the corner. Take your time. Sanding is one of those jobs that if you do it correctly, it really helps make a project look beautiful. And as you can see, this time I'm just dropping it down, pulling it back. Just trying to make sure that that's all nice and neat. Now, you do not need to do this, but if you're very eager, you can go and of course sand all four inside sides. But do remember, they're less likely to be seen than the outside. And so if it's not absolutely perfect, you're not really gonna tell, probably about 82% of the time, especially as soon as you've got anything in there. And where did I get to 82% from? I just made that up. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck in removing all that. And once again, if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to ask.